like to call to order the April 9th, 2014 Conservation Commission meeting. Do we have anything we can go over in 5 minutes?
I can tell you that Gavin Circle, I can report on that. I met John Walkwood out there a couple days ago, and we both heard wood frogs singing, but not overlapping as they were singing, so one or two. I think the vernal pool has value still. The Festallos are going to spread salt marsh hay out on that area that isn't covered at this point, and I think it may be done or may be in the process of being done. And a plan is going to be put together showing a vegetated area and planting, you know, given the fact that they can't plant in a 30-foot wide easement area.
Right.
So that's
Say that
the
again,
next
about
step.
the-
There's an
say-
easement area for that sewer easement.
Right.
It says it's 30 foot wide, and there'll be no woody vegetation in that area.
Certainly plant grass. and not woody stuff.
Well, that was right from George.
Okay.
So we're waiting for that plan to come in. We'll be notified, and I think right now the area is being taken care of by the owners as far as maintaining their erosion control and spreading out the salt marsh hay to prevent any kind of erosion into the wetlands.
Anything else? Go over quickly?
Reading Lions Club Friends and Family Day is coming up, and I wanted to know if the commission wanted to be part of that again. It's registration, it's June 14th, 2014, from 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock.
I think that's a worthwhile event.
It is. I like it. What'd you say it was?
14th.
14th of
14th?
June.
Saturday, Flag Day, actually,
It's always a hot day for some reason. I don't know what it is.
mandated.
Did you say June 14th?
June
That's a Friday,
14th.
is it
Saturday,
not?
June
Is
14th.
Father's Day the next day?
Father's
Am I in
Day
the
the
wrong
next
year?
day.
What's going on here?
It says Flag Day, Saturday, June 14th.
2013.
That would be the reason why. How am I even?
A year behind, Brian.
How's my calendar? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that makes more sense.
All right.
Should we,
Make
should we
it-
buy you a paper one, Brian?
They work better
They-
usually. Yeah.
They're high
I have one-
technology.
I have one at work. I was wondering why my calendar was clear. Okay. Yeah, I think we should attend that. That's
My suggested donation is $10. We usually don't pay anything. Would you like to give him $10 this year
Sure.
and have a vote on that?
I second it.
okay. All those in favor?
Sure.
None opposed? Okay.
And if I have a few more minutes,
Yeah.
the last thing is Pond Meadow drainage. George Zamboris brought this to me, and it certainly appears to be an area that was forgotten about for about 15 years, maybe 10 years, and some trees have grown in and obstructed the culvert.
Where is this?
It's Pond Meadow drainage. That's what he. See if I can look it up better.
Pond
Where it is from these
Meadow.
pictures, can you?
Nope, you can't tell where it is. You can tell that the trees are in the
Yep.
culvert,
Def-
but you
definitely
can't
for
tell
sure.
where it is.
It's like a maintenance issue.
Will
Pond
the
Meadow
weed wrench work
Drive?
on that?
Does that help?
On Meadow Drive,
Where is it?
Pond Meadow Drive.
It's familiar. I
probably
was-
up off Fairchild, is it?
Well, it's
Oh,
Pond
there.
View. That's Pond View
Pond
Drive.
View, sorry, got it.
Yeah,
Pond
these
Meadow.
these trees wouldn't be that big for that one.
Well, anyways, obviously the trees are quite big and the root system must be extensive, and it goes, I'm sure they're not just talking about the two that are directly in front of the culvert. It must be more than that, on either side of the bank, so we're probably talking about cutting the trees, leaving enough for some piece of equipment to grab onto them, and then pulling them out.
Yes, it is.
So timing, bank stabilization, and, you know, whether it needs
be wetlands. They grow
one of the
fast.
commission members there to watch.
Yeah.
The DPW will be doing this project themselves.
Uh-oh.
What's the trouble? We figured out where it is yet?
It says Pond Meadow Drive. Does anyone know where that is? Is there such a
No,
place?
we obviously haven't been there in 15 years.
That's right,
Otherwise,
that's
those
right.
trees wouldn't be there.
It's probably where my calendar is.
Right. But, you know, it ought to be done during the drier season, number one, and number two, somebody from Conscom ought to take a look while they're doing it.
Yeah, I was kind of
I mean,
worried
the
about
concern is that's a lot of trees to remove,
a lot of roots
a lot of
during
roots.
dry season.
Are they gonna grind the stump? I guess they will.
No, they want to. George
They
says
wanna
they want to
pull
pull
it.
them right out.
Pull them out?
Mm.
That's, bank stabilization is gonna be the real.
Because they'd probably sprout up again if they didn't.
They must be willows then. You couldn't
Well-
pull out a maple tree that big.
Maybe with wet roots like that, you could.
Maybe we just, Mr. Chairman, maybe we ought
Yes.
to take a look at it and a site visit before we.
I think that makes sense.
Just-
I get some GPS coordinates.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll
Help you out.
put it on the, next time we don't have 43 things to look at.
Okay. All right.
This is probably something that they'd want to have happen prior to the next site visit. And I don't know if anyone would be available next week to go out and look, because it's flooding the parking lot.
What parking lot? That would help us find out where
Right.
it is.
The parking lot
I-
on Pond Meadow Drive, for God's sake.
Actually, yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna just look up Pond Meadow. Is there such a
I-
place?
Isn't that where the doctor's office is?
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then by the DPW garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't make it next week, I'm sorry. I'm just booked.
Bill, I'd buy you a cup of coffee if you wanna go by one day next week in the morning and look at it. Two of us,
What size coffee?
All right,
medium.
Thursday, yeah, he's not buying. Thursday, can you?
What's the date?
17th?
Sure,
All right, I'll meet you at the usual place at 9:30.
yeah.
We'll go from there.
And we'll go with Kim's suggestion that this is done by DPW.
I'll
and the
even look
doctor.
it
Oh,
up.
we'll find a.
I'll even Google it, how
We'll
about that?
find it for that.
Okay. So it being 7:05 or later, RDA 14-4, 68 Sanborn Lane, Raybeck, map 56, lot 1. Is the homeowner? Here he is. Sure, if you want to introduce yourself, if you haven't already signed in, there's a sign-in sheet near the door over there.
No, I've signed in.
Okay.
Dave Braybeck, I live at 68 Sanborn Lane. I have, I think you may have the plans there. I have a larger one if you want me to put it up on the bulletin board. So you can see it. I haven't put it up there yet. I have it bulletin.
Okay. Sure. We're gonna have to use the board.
So, just to orient, Sanborn Lane is up here.
Yep.
This is a driveway that comes down here. Our house is here. There's some wetlands in this area here. We have an existing deck on the rear of the dwelling where we live. We are looking to cover that and make it a two-season screened porch so that we can actually enjoy that area without being attacked by mosquitoes because of the wetlands that are over here. Looking on the online program and then using the measuring tool, as best I could tell, it was 53 feet from the edge of where the construction would be to the approximate edge of the wetlands here. There's some wetlands down in this area as well, which is over 100 feet away as well. It's all being done on existing lawn. We plan to put some hay bales around the area to protect the wetlands. There's going to be the entrance for the construction crew would be on the opposite side of the house, so to staying away from the wetlands. The contractors told me there won't be any heavy machinery going by, and the footings would be hand dug.
Based on our site visit, for those of you that weren't there, that wetland, it's very obvious where the wetland starts and ends. So I'm pretty sure the map is correct. So I think that 53 feet, plus or minus a couple feet, is accurate.
That's what I got.
Okay.
You gonna be on sonotubes?
Sonotubes.
Okay.
Do you have to put in those, what do they call them,
Elephant feet, yes, they do.
elephant feet sonotubes?
I haven't heard that term before.
Well, there's a new.
Spread footing.
Wire at the bottom
Yes,
and the
yes.
top?
Flared,
Yeah.
yeah. But think of an elephant.
Okay.
They're big elephant feet. Yeah, but they're still gonna be hand dug?
Yes.
Okay.
Only if you don't do an engineering calculation.
Oh, you can do it.
I didn't put them in at my house. But
I was just saying, we forgot the site visit notes.
Well,
Yes.
Or did we do them?
No, I don't see any site visit notes,
Who
but
was there?
you were there.
The three of us,
we were
right?
there.
Okay. You guys can tell us on the fly. We'll take your word for it. as they
Yeah,
say.
it was as described by the applicant. As I said, the wetlands were obvious, and I'm confident that 53 measurement is
Yeah.
is
I
accurate to
agree.
within a couple feet.
You were talking about not putting gutters in, but was it
Right.
a drip space or something for that, or?
Yeah, so the roof would be a tapered roof enough that there would be a pitch enough that we would have shingles. And you folks had suggested putting in gravel at the base instead of a gutter, and we're fine with doing that. We have no problem with
Okay.
that.
Move we approve the RDA with the conditions for erosion protection and a drip line.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Second. Anybody from the,
Is there any abutters that are here to, on his behalf, or to speak about the project? Okay. All those in favor?
Great.
None opposed? One suggestion is compost filter tubes instead of straw or hay bales. They're easy to install,
I'm
and
sorry, say that again?
compost filter tubes.
Okay.
It's essentially a 12-inch diameter burlap tube that has compost in it. It's easier to install, it's less intrusive,
Instead of hay bales?
instead of hay bales, in place of hay bales.
Compost filter tubes.
Compost filter
and we
tubes,
think they're comparable in price.
Okay.
but it goes down much easier.
The other big advantage is almost all hay has weed seed in it, and these things don't,
Gotcha.
and therefore you're less likely to end up having to put stuff on your lawn or spend a lot of time whipping your teenage children into getting weeds picked, which of course they don't do. They don't do that anymore.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. It being 7:10 or later, we've continued RDA 14-3, 50 Bay State Road, map 23, lot 205, McKerney. Welcome back.
Hello. Hi, I'm Will McInerney from Troop 702 here in Reading. I'm back for, I'm going to put, for my Eagle Scout project, I'm going to be putting in a playground that is on the property of Sanborn Home Health Care, which is right down there off of 50 Bay State Road. And I'm going to be putting in a playground in order to create more relationships between the residents there and the youth, both their own families and nearby neighbors. And in order to do that, as you come in right off to the left is where I plan on putting it in. And I know you guys visited there after having a more specific location where it was. I measured out as far as how far away it is from the wetlands. It's about 20 feet plus or minus a couple feet or two. And it's good. It's all like non-permeable materials. I mean permeable materials, so it's not going to affect the wetlands at all as far as the built construction goes.
Okay.
Question, if you were talking about removing a small tree,
Oh yeah.
is that the one that's
That conifer?
Yeah, it was planted there originally already. It's not part of the wetlands at all. They planted it there, and it's a pretty small tree. I mean,
well, what we saw was
20 feet high at least,
And really pushy wide.
very
Talking
wide.
about that?
Yeah.
And with all the leaves from about 4.5 feet down, gone from the deer eating them? Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah. it's all chewed up.
We didn't see how that tree would interfere with the playground.
And if it did, could the playground be moved over a little bit so it wouldn't be in the way, or?
It could. It's more of the fact that it's like a future hazard as far as it gets bigger and bigger. As for right now, though.
Right now, the deer are taking care of that.
Pruners.
There was not a leaf below about 4.5 feet, not one. They've eaten every one. I think we should leave that. If it gets to be a problem in the future, we can trim it without taking the whole tree down.
Okay.
And you're talking about the one that's behind, so if you're facing where you had staked out, it's behind where the staked area was.
It's right off to like the left of the stake area.
Okay, so if you're facing the wetland, looking at the staked area to the left.
It's like if you were looking at the area. Yeah, oh yeah, from your perspective.
Yeah, okay.
No, the
Yep,
right hand side,
that's
you
the
got
one.
a-
That's the
you
one
got
we're
a stick
talking
on the ground that it said trees or something.
Oh yeah, that was a branch that was in the area.
That limb that
That's the
comes
one
off,
that's over
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they didn't like that one, right?
Now that limb, the limb comes off from the tree, it's about that big. And then it comes out, a little bit to the west of your play area, then there's a branch that comes off that limb that comes right over your play area. Are you taking off that big branch that's that big, or the one that comes off it that's more like that big?
Go look at the diagram.
Chuck, is that projector on?
I mean, either way, if for some
It's not
reason
showing up.
the big
No, it's
one
not.
would be more of a hazard or more of a problem, then it can just be the one that directly interferes.
Well, were you gonna do this, limbing yourself?
No.
How were you gonna have it done?
The CEO at Sanborn has a contact that she usually uses for tree removal.
Oh, okay.
Good. That was a big limb.
I mean, if they want that whole limb gone, I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't want a non-professional trying to remove that limb. That would be quite dangerous.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not doing it personally.
Brian, do you have any problem with that whole limb going? As long as
No,
it's done?
I don't.
I think the tree's
I
pretty
think it'll be
big,
fine,
so-
yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Move we approve the RDA as for 50 Bay State Road for the play area.
With that modification,
With that
leaving the
modification,
tree.
leaving the tree.
But
Second.
removing the limb.
Removing the limb but leaving the tree.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Hey, good luck
All
with
right.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good project.
Okay. So it being 7:15 or later? It didn't come up. It's not coming up, so I don't know if.
It's hooked to your calendar.
It's hooked to the calendar. Yeah, we're gonna wait till next year. It being 7:15 or later, we're gonna move on to the continued RDA 14-2, Reading Rifle and Revolver Club. Mr. LaRusso.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark Slager from Allen Engineering, here on behalf of Reading Rifle and Revolver. At the last meeting, we discussed fine tuning some of the grading that we were proposing on the 300-yard firing line. And the commission requested that we modify the grading with a little bit of loss of wetland and replicating the wetland in another area. I think in the long term, that was gonna be the best solution for the wetland. So we've submitted revised plans reflecting the change. And total alteration is about 195 square feet, and we're proposing replication of 576 square feet adjacent to it.
Sounds like a
So,
plan.
yeah, I think we've addressed all the comments from the commission.
I think your proposed section BB that you submitted will eliminate any maintenance associated with any wood retaining walls now, so I think
Right.
that makes it a lot easier to maintain. Any other comments, or?
Move we approve the RDA as modified today.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
This is gonna shorten our meetings and site visits quite a bit without having Reading Rifle. John, what are you gonna do with all your free time now?
We got a lot of work to do.
Implement everything we're doing now.
Thank you.
very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The first day we were out there was the first day of real winter and it was snowing on us, and here we finally finished it up at the end of winter.
Okay, oh yeah, so fast, okay. So it being 7:20, we have a continued notice of intent, 364 Lowell Street. Map 26, lot 157, Jamieson Properties LLC.
They're not here.
Is it,
Let me just stick my head in the room next door and see if he's
Dark out there.
Oh, it's dark.
Well, we can go check anyways, but
No?
could be the neighboring room.
Yeah?
maybe they're checking it.
Okay. Well, we can't move on to the next one. It's not time
Well,
yet.
you
so-
can just continue it to the end of the meeting. if
Okay.
They're not here.
I don't see him immediately. I didn't see him out there earlier.
All right, we got a couple of minutes. We got a couple of minutes before the next one.
Do you
so-
wanna just discuss what
I-
we found recently, or is it
I think we can
not worth
wait,
it?
and if they don't come in by the next hearing, we can discuss it then.
Okay.
All right, so do we have anything that we can discuss for 1 minute?
Bills approved? Do we have any bills?
Unfortunately, we don't.
Good, good.
Yes. How about the minutes? March 26 minutes, did anybody go over that?
Approve the minutes as edited?
Did I edit them?
No. Not this time.
Was I there?
Not this
Kim
time,
did.
not this time.
Kim did. She
I was
That's
there.
right, that's right.
issued a second.
It was a second. That's right, I remember reading those.
Oh, I did read it.
Okay. Is there a second? Is it- okay.
Second.
All those in favor? All right,
If we have another 30 seconds, I'm sorry I wasn't at the
we do.
Matera cabin. Did that go well? Was it well
did.
attended?
It did. Yeah, there was pretty steady stream. I did the last shift. We had a good location. By the time I got there, most of the handouts, particularly the big posters, were gone.
Oh, good.
All of the maps were gone by the end of my shift. We had, I don't have a count, and since Anika has the bowl, I told people we would do the raffle for the 2 books tonight, but we'll have to postpone it till she brings the bowl with the tickets.
Was the Forest Committee there?
Yep. The Trails Committee was there, Forest Committee was there, Walkable Reading was there. There were people.
RMLD also.
RMLD was
and
there.
Gar-
Well, they're
Garden,
kind of the host.
Garden
And
Club.
DPW, and they were actually making very nice little quick and dirty bird feeders using Polypack, those Pure Pack milk cartons
Oh.
that somebody had saved, and a couple of, how many walks did you have, Will?
There were 3 walks at 11, 12, and 1. I led the 11 o'clock one, and there was Terry and Gina Snyder that led the 12 o'clock, and then Dave Williams led the 1 o'clock. A lot of water over the trails. The Boy Scout came into the Trails Committee meeting last night and proposed a boardwalk over one of the wet areas that gets a lot of traffic. Since the Trails Committee has been in business, we've noticed, putting up trail maps and blazing trails, that we get a whole lot more people coming up there, so certainly have a lot of need, and the Boy Scouts are fulfilling that need, which is great. Yeah, it was a good thing.
It was a good event. The Garden Club was there too.
Who was?
The Garden Club. So it was actually, I think every space except the little back room was filled with exhibitors and people, and people seemed to be. RMLD was handing out free 40-watt LED bulbs.
Yes,
Wow,
yes,
they're $4 each.
yes.
Well, she said that they bought them in bulk, but they're,
The good ones too.
they were going.
And there will be an article in the paper about the event, probably the Green Sense column that the Climate Committee writes in the papers.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And actually, the other thing I noticed is a number of people asking sort of an expansion of your trails thing. People who didn't know about passive recreation in town were asking questions about where could they cross-country ski in the wintertime,
Mm-hmm.
which trails were available to skiing, and so on and so
Hmm,
forth. So, you know, lots of people interested. Almost everybody had a kid or two in tow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing.
Someone asked me if the Conservation Commission had any training or workshop, something like that. But they said they knew Nick, so they want to go talk to Nick.
We have on-the-job training if they want to become a member.
Yes, did anyone volunteer to be on the commission?
Kind of like the military
Not that
on-the-job.
I'm aware of.
No, I didn't.
Is there any news on that front, Chuck?
No, there's no news.
Okay.
In this case, no news is bad news.
Yeah.
I think the selectmen have a subcommittee to locate and fill vacancies, or locate applicants to fill vacancies.
Well, they have a
Is this floated to them? Because Bob, when I talked to Bob, he wasn't even aware we were short, or maybe he was, he forgot.
The
Used
problem.
to be Peter would kind of
Right,
spearhead the
but the
thing.
subcommittee just does the interviewing. I'm not sure they do any recruiting.
Who does it?
I don't think there's anybody doing any recruiting. I mean, I could be
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
on that.
I've never heard of anyone.
Yeah, I think what happened is, if I remember correctly, in one of my many years in that chair, several people were concerned about the sort of very public interview process.
Right.
That felt it deterred people
Right.
from applying. So they created a subcommittee to do the interviewing, so you don't have to be videoed and so on. You get, when you're appointed, you appear at the selectmen's meeting.
Yeah.
But I think it was to sort of get away.
But they don't recruit. They
I
just-
don't believe so.
Well, they used to be, periodically, there'd be a posting in the newspaper
Yeah.
Right.
about open seats. I haven't seen that, at least in the Advocate.
Oh, really? It used to be in the Chronicle, but I don't see the Chronicle anymore, so.
Yeah, I have not seen any,
It's probably posted on the town website.
It definitely is.
it is posted on the website, but you have to go hunt for that.
Well, we could start a Facebook page. That would be a surefire way. I mean, seriously, Conscom should have a Facebook page. Everybody's
Might not be a bad idea.
good at setting those up. The Trails Committee has one. The Climate Committee has one.
Did they do it themselves, or was it
Yeah.
done through the town offices?
No, one of the Trails Committee members set it up. I don't, anybody with a little bit of savvy can do it pretty easily, I think.
So there's no conflict with open town meeting laws? Do people post comments on
I never, yeah, that never really came up. I don't know, it could be a little bit different with Conscom since we're a regulatory body.
Right.
Yeah,
Have to be a little more careful about a lot of discussion.
right. I mean, I think the issue is, if we did it, we'd have to make sure there was no substantive, what could be deemed substantive discussion. Which means you can't say much.
You also have to,
Kind of like these meetings when there's three of them.
But the way it works with Trails Committee, it's mostly announcing events.
Right, right.
And people posting pictures of where they hiked and stuff, so it's, it would be the same way for Conscom, though.
Right, I mean, I think, obviously, we can't do discussion on it, but otherwise,
Posting,
should be posting
yeah, meetings.
openings and meetings
Yeah.
and, points of interest or whatever. Mr. Chairman, could is Mr. Hennings here, Noah Hennings? I wondered if we might take him.
Sure, oh yeah, sure.
Just because it's,
Sure.
we're not quite at 7:25 yet.
I'm Noah Hennings from Troop 702. I'm here because of my Eagle Scout project, which is to build a bridge, or to replace the Cranberry Dam Bridge. And since that's
This is,
on the wetland,
Noah, can you just hold on for 1 second? This is a request for a determination of applicability, which has to go through the normal channels. So I don't know if you want to look at it now or wait until the newspaper ad goes out
Why
and
don't
we
we-
actually have it on a meeting.
Why don't we have a brief discussion of what he wants to do?
Do you want to look at this or?
Well, why don't we let him discuss, he's here, why don't we let him discuss what he
No.
wants to do? and-
Right,
And
I'm
then-
just saying that this part is for the actual next step that you need to take.
Yeah, just to clear it up, there's a process we have to follow legally. Having you do a presentation today is fine, but we actually have to have that in our hands and read it before you can officially be approved, okay?
okay.
But go ahead and tell us what you want to tell.
I think you were saying whose land this is on? Is it conservation land?
Yeah. I believe so, yeah.
So,
I think isn't it town?
Town forest,
Forest.
town
Oh,
forest.
it's forest.
Cranberry Dam is.
Just
Cranberry Dam's
almost
right
the
by
same,
Woodend-
but not quite.
Woodend School.
Okay, all right. We had one project down there, didn't we? One boardwalk from Trails Committee?
Well,
With the alligator?
no.
No, that's a different one.
Well, there was one, we went to Wood End School and off to the left, and we replaced Pearl Boardwalk down there. Or am I crazy?
When was that?
Maybe 2 years ago?
Well, there's one from Lynn Village Way into
Right. That's the one.
trail into the town forest. But this particular bridge, the Trails Committee just did some replacing a few boards on the decking a couple years ago, but that's all that's been done in this vicinity. The other projects nearby are, well, there was some kind of viewing platform that somebody did.
Well, I think Mark was still here when that was done.
That was a while ago.
That was, and I don't,
There was a viewing platform at the bridge?
no, it
No, it
was
was
sort of
in-
in a really strange
In
place.
a really odd location.
Didn't make much sense, but that may be what you're thinking of, in nearby, but, in any case,
So my plan is to abandon 4 posts around the existing bridge and to build a 12-foot bridge that will span the gap and to attach it to the BAM posts. The new bridge is going to be 4 feet wide, and I was wondering if I could get the newspaper ad fee waived.
So, Noah has teamed up with Jeff Zaga on this project, who's co-sponsored him as the town half, co-sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So that may make it a little bit easier to waive both sides of the fee. So I don't, you are asking for both sides to be waived. So we would pay the newspaper ad, which is customary for us with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, and, the town,
Would pick up the,
well, they don't pick it
They
up,
don't
it's just
pick it up.
because it's a town
Town project.
organization, it's a,
Yeah, we waived the fee, but what we've done most recently is have whoever owns the property pay the fee.
however.
Whatever town.
Town forest. I don't know if the town forest has any money.
yeah, they do.
Do they?
do they?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, if it was our land, I think it's a great improvement, we should pay the newspaper fee, but if it's town forest land, it would make sense to me that they pay the fee.
So we
Yeah,
have a couple town forest people here.
Town meeting appropriated, funds for the Trails Committee and the
Right.
Town Forest Committee last year, so.
I
We have a
think,
town forest meeting on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a reasonable thing to do. What I would propose is if, for any reason, if the town forest committee goes bankrupt between now and Monday, we'd be
That we
glad
pick
to
it up,
waive,
sure.
Mhm.
waive the fee.
Okay.
And I was also wondering if I could get the fee waived for this application.
Yes.
Yes.
That's not a problem.
That's easy.
Because it's actually town department applying, and they
Right.
never have to pay a fee.
Okay. Is it gonna be one of these, bridges that has the edges on it, so a wheelchair won't
The
fall?
curbs.
Okay, great.
So it's gonna be an actual bridge, it's not gonna be,
It's replacing the existing bridge, which is a little bit longer. We're gonna, we had discussions last night at Trails Committee about trying to make the bridge a little bit lower so there wasn't a big step up, which means making the bridge a little bit shorter, dropping it down a little bit. It'll be a challenging engineering project, but I think the band post design would be good because there'll be minimal impact on the wetland.
Mhm. Okay.
can you put it on our site visit list?
You sure can, yeah.
This-
Well, it will, you know, it'll be on the next meeting, and we'll have a site visit, so the meeting on the 26th.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I think in general, this is a great project, good idea. We'll take the site visit and we'll bring it up next meeting.
Speaking of the site visits, are you changing the days?
I was gonna bring that up. We probably should do that.
Because we could let Noah know that we'll be out there on Monday night now, I guess.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Which would be the 21st, but I cannot be here, I'm away that day. I'm
Yeah,
away Sunday too.
The 21st, and then the next one would be when? The 5th. Is that right?
No,
May 5th?
if we meet on the 21st,
Oh,
we'd meet on the 23rd.
Yeah,
We wouldn't meet until
the 14th,
the 14th
which would be
because
the 12th.
Wednesday is the 30th of April.
Yeah, the 14th.
We meet at the 14th.
so we meet the 14th of May.
Meet the 14th of May. Okay?
Until, between now and May 5th, I teach Monday nights. But it sounds like I could only miss one site visit, is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's what it appears, yeah.
Looks like the 21st, yeah.
Okay.
I think you mentioned that the town forest committee and the trail committee are going out as a site visit jointly together this Sunday and look at that project and a few other ones that are going on in the town
On
forest.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday at
Actually,
2 o'clock.
21st is a holiday.
21st is Easter.
Isn't it Patriots Day?
No.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
wait a
Think
minute.
it is?
21st is Patriots Day, I'm sorry, I'm
I
thinking
don't
of the,
think we can
thinking
have
of the
site
20th.
visits on holidays, can we, or can we?
Sure. We have them on Sundays. for
Oh, it's just
holidays.
pen meeting days, it's just
Time
time
meeting,
meeting.
yeah. Yeah, so it's, as Terry
They
said.
pay us the same whether it's overtime or
Yeah.
holiday pay.
So we're meeting at Wood End School at 2 o'clock on Sunday to do these site visits of at least 3 different
Yeah, there's 3 or 4
possible
projects going on.
projects in the town forest.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't make that
And
either.
this is one of them, and the other one is a boardwalk into the river, not just towards the river, just, and I forget what the third.
Brandon Lee's putting in that one going down
That's
the hill.
this coming Sunday.
This Sunday,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
Sunday.
All right.
And you're all welcome.
Certainly sounds like a good proposal, and we'll see you at our next meeting.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, is anybody here from 306 Main Street? Okay. It being 7:25 or later. I'm gonna open the hearing to notice of intent. Do we have a DEP number yet?
You know what, I didn't have a chance to check, but I bet you we do have one.
Okay.
Brandon, do you know if you got the DEP number?
I don't have a DEP number on me, no.
Thank you, guys. If we have enough Eagle Scouts, we'll actually have the whole doggone town bridged over.
That's right. We do have a lot of Eagle Scouts in there.
We do?
Yeah.
702, I have a lot of them.
Yeah, that's great.
That's good.
It increases the amount of bird watching we do out there because of the eagles, all the eagles out there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll wait for you, Chuck.
Yeah, it'll be 2 seconds. 0624.
0624.
270-0624.
0624.
Yep.
Okay. We can use that. The public hearing for 306 Main Street, DEP number 2700624, is now opened and being conducted concurrently under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Reading General Bylaws, Section 7.1. This hearing will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant will present the proposal. The commission will receive reports from its administrator, technical advisors, and other town departments. The commission will address questions and comments to the applicant. The public will then be given the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, which should be directed to the chair. Please give your name and address before your comments and/or questions are presented. An attendance sheet is at the door. Please sign in if you haven't done so already. At this time, would the members of the Conservation Commission please introduce themselves, starting with Chuck.
Chuck Teroni, Conservation Administrator.
William Heck Senior.
Terry Sully.
Brian Sullivan, Chair.
Jamie Mullen.
William Finch.
Okay. You're on.
And I'm Brandon Simpson from Pizza World. I'd like to start off, I'm going to ask the Conservation Commission to keep the meeting, open the meeting. I ran into a few extra costs which I didn't expect. The site, work, unbeknownst to me that there's 12 inches of concrete reinforced underneath 28.
Oh, yeah.
Which I didn't realize, which is a major expense. And then also, there's 638 feet of curbing, the granite, which turned out to be, a pretty good expense, upwards $35,000. I was at CPDC on Monday. I asked for the same thing, to keep the meeting open. We went over, the plans. We looked at some, the building, the design stuff. And I'm actually working with the contractor a few things to try to scale back the project a little bit to try to get into my budget, because it just, it shot over a little bit and kind of caught me off guard. But what else? That was it. And I guess my engineer, Jack Sullivan, wanted me to ask if you had done the site walk.
We did.
Yeah.
You did, okay. He wanted to know about, the snow melting, if you did that.
Yep, we did.
Yeah. Of course, we've been there many times before.
I'm sure over the years it's
Yeah,
been,
yes. We visited that. I mean, some of us visited that when it used to pump Getty gas. I mean, that's how.
Now you did.
So you're asking we keep the,
Open
hearing
hearing, but
open
continue it?
and you-
Correct, and my meeting is for May 19th with CPDC.
Okay.
So I'd like to, if we, I don't know if your meetings, I'd like to do it afterwards.
After Steve.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just make a couple requests or observations.
Sure.
First, if you could tell Jack, we do need one set of full-size plans, but the rest of them can be half-size plans.
That'll save you some
That'll
money.
save you some money right
Well, we had
there.
talked about this, and they told me, as it was now, I know you would ask me before about that in different meetings, but they told me I have to do full size.
Yeah, no, for us, just one
CPDC probably
full-size.
told you that, right?
Yeah.
They might need full-size, we only need one set of full-size.
The advantage to you is, generally, full-size plans cost you a lot more money.
Yeah, trust me, it was 24
And-
sets.
Right.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, if we get one full-size set and the rest half-size,
Half-size.
half-sheets, that's fine, because fundamentally, we can do our work, and if we need to, we can look over Chuck's shoulder and.
Right, because I just did ask, and they told me to do 24 full sets of plans, so I didn't know if that was.
Well, we're gonna go paperless, so that one set and the this whole
PDF
set on
one, yeah.
on the DVD works out real well. For Brian, myself, and.
I still like the half size. I use half size.
Half-size is,
Yeah.
Trust me, I was
We're asking
beating
for
myself
half
up
size,
about
yeah.
printing all this stuff, but, that was just.
No, I understand. It's confusing only because, except for Conservation Commission, we can use one full-size set, and the rest of us.
Be lucky they don't require color.
Yeah.
We had a color reproduction job for a job in Lowell that was $8,000 in reproductions.
I definitely would have pulled out for a while for that one.
The other request, as you look at revised plans, and particularly since you mentioned scaling back the project, we noticed that you're just barely in the 35-foot setback. If you can pull back outside of that 35-foot setback, it means you don't need a variance, means things run smoother, means you don't have to do mitigation. It's just to your advantage to just make minor modifications, I don't know how this would work, but Jack should be able to innovatively pull that thing out of the 35-foot setback. You're so just barely in it.
Can I ask about, we had talked at our DRT meeting, in the definition of a structure. Engineering, I talked to him and he said, asphalt's not a structure. I talked to the building commission, I don't think you even need a permit to do a driveway, so he said it wasn't a structure. So one of the questions I had asked Chuck, and we were gonna talk about it, was by definition, it says no structure zone. You have the 25-foot do not disturb, which I understand.
Right.
And I want to ask the commission if they, what was, their interpretation of, and I don't know if there's a bylaw in the conservation that says.
Yeah, so you guys, before we go further, I want you to know that Al Couillard, every time he comes in with a project, he's got that riprap right there, right in the 20, 24, 25-foot area.
Right, for a level spreader.
So we make a precedent here.
Well,
I can't say the stormwater treatment areas are,
that's right.
in the Wetland Protection Act, have a special dispensation.
Right.
So, for stormwater treatment, it's one thing, but
Dictionary definition is pretty strict, but
So we call it a no-build zone, and we interpret that as meaning driveways or sidewalks or.
but the as I read the regulation, it allows you to bring that up to 35 feet or 37 or 40 feet if you had to, but also reduce it if needed. So it gives you allowance to go back and forth on that that no structure zone and the what is it, the Z&V?
and the argument could be made with this configuration that they have here is, there's an area that's quite a bit away from that 35-foot zone. As an example, I'm saying.
Right.
So
I know Anika was, looking at this and we were talking about a few things, and I don't know what's gonna happen with the final configuration of what happens here. I don't know how in depth you wanna get into these things tonight, but, things might be moving around all over this thing.
I can't say with it.
I'm trying actually inside the building to kind of, because I had upstairs storage, I had an office, I had a bathroom.
So it's that.
I had 3 AC units, so I'm trying to cut back up there, where I probably won't be until at least fall time, maybe only put 1 AC for the dining room, hold back, just that type of cost savings.
Rather than the parking lot.
Right, I'm also scrutinizing as far as the estimates I got from the 2 site contractors. I actually knocked one of them down, I don't know where he's coming from on this, but he was $61,000 over on the paving of it. I think there's some slight oversight on the estimates, so that, I've been working with that.
CPDC will let you eliminate a parking space, if they will. Are you at their required number of parking spaces?
Well, I remember their comments,
Well,
so there's some issues already with parking, so.
Oh, okay.
So what had happened with the DRT meeting was, there was a couple things we were unsure about, if they were gonna consider my delivery drivers as spaces, which I think we determined was, they were gonna, make me have dedicated spots for my drivers. Upstairs, it was gonna be an office, plus that counts as parking. And I think I got about 32 seats. So for every 4 seats, you need a parking spot.
Right.
So that translates to 8, you have 5 drivers on a Friday. Roughly I have, and it goes in the busiest shift, which is I'd say 4 to 10:30, that's on a Friday night. So in that shift, roughly 5 people inside. So I'm pretty close to,
Yeah, I thought you had a few more than you needed. That's what I remember from the DRT meeting.
Yeah, we weren't too sure about I talked to Gene afterwards about the drivers, because they were saying where they're in and out all the time.
Yeah,
You know, and also, I didn't do outdoor seating for the fact of, that was another issue.
right.
If they were gonna require me, even though it was only seasonal, to require parking too. But as is now, you're talking, 5 in, 5 drivers is 10, 8 seats. And then whatever they're gonna require from the upstairs, I think it's every 500 square feet of parking spot, right around there.
Well, it seems to me I don't disagree with Jamie that it makes things go easier, but there certainly is plenty of area outside the 35-foot. And I'm trying to think of mentally how you can play with that.
Yeah.
Simply because we don't want you to have to cut, we don't want to put you in the position of having to seek a variance either from us or from CPDC. We'd rather not do that. But I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if there's, I wish Jack was here, but if you put in one of these parking spaces, or maybe 2 of them, that are just for compact cars.
We have a few in there for compact cars.
You already have those?
Yeah, we had already talked at the DRT meeting, Chuck brought it up and they put some in there.
The other possibility.
If you did that, you might be able to get out of your 35-foot. Now, when you're in your 35-foot for that turning radius, I mean, that's unavoidable.
Right. The only other possibility, Jamie, is the possibility that the back end of both of those spaces might be pervious.
That would help.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, because either pervious pavers or pervious asphalt does essentially drain pretty well.
Except that area floods,
Well-
groundwater might be near the surface, I'm not sure.
I don't,
Oh, yeah.
The problem with,
Drop down?
the problem that was happening with this site is that, should it be pervious or should it be impervious?
right,
Oh,
because
because it's
the well
contaminated.
is contaminated
So
well.
I think that what you're talking about, that side may be the least contaminated or something like that.
Is there an AUL
I'm
on
not
the
sure of
site?
it. What's that?
Is there an activity use limitation on the site?
And it's not closed out, so.
Okay.
It's still
There
active.
might be when it's all done, said and done.
So then we probably shouldn't make that as if we don't know yet.
Right,
Well, there's a rain garden in the front and there's one in the back.
Correct.
And I think the rain garden in the front is quite close to one of the more active wells. So one of the things that was gonna be asked is can that be moved or eliminated altogether?
right.
Well, and it all depends on the level too of the contamination. How deep is the contamination are we talking about? How is it within?
Well, we have, there's, where he's talking about on the front driveway on the right-hand side, in that right-hand corner. So it is a little bit away, where the rain garden be, right in the middle of the building. Also, I don't know if they know, the Tyree, which is the LSP for Getty,
Right.
they're in a process now of trying to close out the site.
Right, right.
And, they're basing it upon, there's some hydro block with that stream is in the back. Saying that if any contaminants did come, it would never make it to that well in the back. So I guess, to the best of my understanding, that's the case that they're trying to make coming forward. I don't know if it's this year or towards the end of the year or.
Yeah. it should be-
I sent Chuck today, did you get my email?
I did, I have those, I printed that out, which is just a request to eliminate 2 of the wells. And these weren't very active. Is that-
No, I guess the readings were below the limits and they haven't changed in years, so Tyree asked my LSP, EBI, to write up a letter so they can send to Getty Properties to approve that if I'm gonna destroy these 2 wells, they're in the foundation,
Yeah.
that it would be fine not to replace them. So
That's beyond our purview.
Yeah.
Well, if
Well-
he gets he's requesting, here's the, if you wanna pass
That's
this
a
down.
DEP question, is it not?
That's it. Well, no, if
Or BWSC
Tyree agrees to it, cause they still have, the ability to monitor it, it's up to them to maintain that site as far as checking out these levels.
And they submit a monitoring
Right,
report to us every year or
This
quarter.
is in I believe this would be in the area that was removed, and they
Right.
took out stuff and filled it in
Right,
those
that-
2
yeah, that is
wells
in that
right
area.
there on the edge. So, Depends on what, you know, Mike says, that's the first step.
Back to those parking spaces, remember that daycare center on Haverhill Street?
Right.
Where they put in parking, they just didn't pave them, and we were good with that, remember that? So that's another thing to think about.
Although I think the question that Chuck raised is really determinative. Is
Yeah.
Should it be sealed or should it
That
not?
that is a good point.
I actually, I'm getting a letter from my LSP about that, I talked to him about that too.
Okay.
He said, as far as you're not putting any contaminants into the ground, you're not adding, if it's just rainwater, I'll have
Right.
him write a letter, he told me,
No,
Well, it's just, yeah, so what needs to answer is, if it goes in, it's pushing whatever's in there out and into the wetland. So I guess it would be, when that geo-hydro
right,
area.
yeah, whatever that
If
gets.
that actually exists, if such a thing actually exists, then that would be great to know.
Yeah,
Probably right in
So
here.
that would, because that would protect, and you have that
Judging by
well
that picture
within,
in front.
within 500 feet
Right.
right.
in the back there, so.
just to answer a question you raised,
They said to
our
come in the back.
meeting
Is this one?
after you said you had your
Is there one
meeting
in the
with
back?
CPDC
Oh, okay.
when?
On the 19th of May?
Yeah, our meeting after that would be the 28th,
Perfect.
Yeah.
okay, so
Well, the reason why the rain garden is important and we just can't eliminate it is because you can't increase the stormwater
Right,
runoff until
right.
28.
right,
And so they're kind of in a, so
okay, yeah.
can they ask the state?
There
Considering the
are
site.
options, but the concrete, the 12-inch reinforced concrete slab under 28 severely limits. A rain guard doesn't have to exfiltrate into the ground. It can be
Right.
collected with a pipe and put into the drainage system. But to get to the drainage system is difficult.
Well, to eliminate any kind of infiltration at all. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how
has
you
that
do
ever happened? Can they petition the state and then?
I don't know.
Well, you know, by the river study, they were gonna make some improvements down there. If you'll remember that river study, because that was a
Yeah.
constriction, because that flooding on, at the Enterprise Rental.
Right,
Right. I think it was up a bit from here, but, I know that they're working on that section of the brook. So,
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it without slowing the water down somehow.
yeah, I don't.
yeah,
Well,
I
but-
can't remember what they were gonna do.
It seems to me that this is ripe for continuation till the 28th of May.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the
Since
next.
you've got some revisions, and.
Yeah, I have some too. Do you have more, I guess, you had handed me these review, like, concerns. You said you had some more coming, or do you have any more?
There were a few that we forgot to put on there. I can hand you the entire list, which is only a few more. It was just, let's talk about lighting and bollards around the dumpster, because that's protecting trash from getting in there. So the fence.
But it's gonna be a structure. It's not gonna be a fence, it's gonna be like a.
Oh, it is a structure, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wall, and the health inspector emailed me too. It's gonna be 6 feet high. I have three dumpsters, which are 52 inches high. One for trash, one recycling, and then so basically it's a 12 by 12 pad, so you'd have your two dumpsters facing either way on 28, and then I'd have a 4-foot walk in between, and that's where I'd have my barrel for the fryer. That was one of the other things you had written down.
And then a request for maybe some fencing in the back. That was part of it also. So I'll put that together. I think they were general comments, like what you got there was more about the site and the site development.
All right.
So.
This is weird.
And did we, when they did the site walk, as far as the marking of the wetlands, is that they're agreeable with the,
I think the wetlands were delineated a couple of times,
Right.
and those flags are they're not exactly on top of one another, but they're definitely within the width of professional judgment. So the commission was out there, it's up to them to verify it, but
all right.
that will be discussed with probably Jack, and I don't know if you're bringing a wetland scientist at any point, or the LSP to any of these meetings, but,
Yeah, we can arrange it for, if we want, if you have concerns for the LSP, I can have Phil come, he's a regular. I can have him, ask him to come to the meeting.
all right.
If I do recall, I think the wetland line was
Yeah, we
Pretty
looked at
obvious.
it,
It was
pretty
pretty
obvious.
obvious.
And then, the other thing, it's not riverfront.
That's correct.
That's right, because that area of Walker's Brook doesn't drain enough yet.
You guys signed an order of conditions stating that.
Yes, the one at, Demoulas, or,
No, actually, there's one for this
property.
site.
No,
when
there's one
Getty
for this
tried
site
to,
years and years ago when they tried to redo it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Getty they had a redevelopment plan. Move we continue it till the 28th of May.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
This is the.
At CPDC, I just signed a paper, Gene wrote up something.
Yeah.
Request to continue.
Correct, yes.
Going down into this rain garden and then out that way.
Okay, right, that's what naturally happens.
Yeah. I'm sure they showed the styles. They could turn this into a big sand pit. Get rid of the water that way. Line the bottom of the tank.
Bill Manuel is here.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
He was in and
I did see him.
Someone let him wander off, huh?
It was May 28th, right?
yes, yeah.
That'll be your last meeting, Bill.
No, I'm on till the end of June, June 30. However, there are only 5 more after time.
Let's think we're gonna see him at Friends and Family Day, unshaved.
Thank you.
I'm bored out of
In
my
my,
mind.
in my,
Thank you, have a good night.
oh, the Friends and Family Day is still in my term.
I know.
I have to look,
Last year.
July 1st, you'll find me,
Last year
in
we
my
saw-
bathrobe on a Sunday.
Wandering
I'll
down
come
Main
driving around in my bathrobe saying, oh, how you doing, guys? I'm reading the paper and having coffee.
We saw, I think you were there when Peter came up.
Yes,
Quite unshaven
he
and
was.
on his bicycle,
That's right.
saying that retirement was boring.
Which,
He went and got a job.
Peter Hecker.
like friends and family?
Yeah, there he is. All right.
His wife said he's just as busy as ever.
Oh, I don't doubt
He's got
it.
a part-time job.
I don't doubt it,
He's
yeah.
down. He's
Yeah.
consulting town manager and,
No, he's recreation.
well, that's right,
Director
the
of Rec-
recreation
In
director.
Westwood, and he's supposed to be working part-time, but he's working full-time.
Of course.
I have a friend who
All right.
retired.
It being 7:20 or later, we're gonna open the, reopen the notice of intent for 364 Lowell Street, map 26, lot 157. The public hearing for 364 Lowell Street, map 26, lot 157, DEP number 2700620, is now reopened and being conducted concurrently under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Reading General Bylaws, Section 7.1. The hearing will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant will present the proposal. The commission will receive reports from its administrator, technical advisors, and other town departments. The commission will address questions and comments to the applicant. The public will then be given the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, which should be directed to the chair. Please give your name and address before your comments and/or questions are presented. An attendance sheet is at the door. Please sign in if you haven't done so already. At this time, will the members of the Conservation Commission please introduce themselves, starting with Chuck?
Chuck Taroni, Conservation Administrator.
William Heck Senior?
Terry Selly.
Brian Sullivan, Chair.
Jamie Maughan?
William Finch.
Okay.
My name is Bill Manuel from Wetlands and Land Management. David Jameson is here. He is the applicant. Bill Crowley is here, he's local counsel. And we had a long discussion last meeting. At that meeting, I submitted to you a detailed evaluation of alternatives in support of our request for a waiver of your
very specific locations of your 25-foot zone of no disturbance and your 35-foot no structure zone. And so hopefully you've had a chance to digest all of that. We also submitted some sketches of alternatives for the project. And, but more importantly, with our preferred option, you know, I think the important thing to stress is the improvements that can be made. I think we're asking for a reasonable project and very with minimal incursions that we feel frankly are, for the type of project that we have, are unavoidable because of the geometry of the access to the site and the proximity of the wetlands, the way they cut diagonally. You know, it just puts a real crimp on the middle of that site. It's about a 2.5 acre site. We're asking for 3 additional lots. And we need, I think overall, we need, just looking at this plan, we would need relief from your 25-foot zone in this small area here, and I'm speaking just about the road and the BMP structure right now. The house is sort of a different conversation, but we need minimal relief in this location right here, and then as far as the 35-foot zone, we need relief, as I've outlined here in pink. And of that area, especially in the roadway, about 500 square feet of that happens to be in the 35-foot no structure zone, but it's already disturbed with the gravel that's out there, the reclaimed bituminous, and the lack of topsoil and vegetation. So really, it's even a smaller incursion into your 35-foot zone of your no structure zone. So we believe that's reasonable. We've suggested, because we've heard the neighborhood, there is some concerns about water flow through here and high water backing up along the homes. And we know that we have a constriction. The source of hydrology for this wetland system is road drainage that's piped down Lowell Street, and it enters the site here. There's no wetland gradient of this project that's a flow through. This is a pipe outlet, and it receives road drainage. If you've looked in this area here, this is a large delta of sand that has grown since I've been on the site last year. But this ultimately, nothing's done to control the sediment getting in there from better maintenance on the road. This is going to be gradually filled in. And we can see that evidence all down through the site here. We see that the wetland, instead of a water course, it's becoming more of a weedy, choked, emergent marsh-type wetland. Purple loosestrife, some other herbaceous stuff that's actually getting a hold on the sediment that's filling in here. So we believe that we could make improvements that will help the neighborhood by opening up the area of historic fill between 24 and 32. And whereas now you're left with perhaps a 2 to 3 foot wide channel in this area here, we can open that up so that it's a flow path that's more like the rest of the wetland area here, and that will help the neighborhood dramatically, I believe, in getting the water to pass through here. There's also an area of Japanese knotweed that's in that area. We all know what Japanese knotweed does. If you leave it unchecked, it will eventually take over this entire site. So we believe that that is a benefit to not only the wetlands, but also the community, because if we leave it alone, it will drop seed and it will export off-site. And there's a far better wetland on the other side of the MBTA tracks that the seed will ultimately be exported to, and we'd hate to see knotweed get established along the margins of that wetland as well. So again, I think I really want to stress the positives of what we believe to be a reasonable project. With respect to our alternatives, we are bound under your regulations to discuss what other alternatives there are. And remember, we had this discussion that this is a business proposition. This is not something that's, you know, a landscape project or whatever. Mr. Jameson and his partners are in the business of building homes and making a profit, hopefully. So we looked at alternatives that provided a similar sort of business-type project. And for that reason, we did not evaluate what would happen if we did one lot on here, because a one lot versus a 4-lot project like we have, they're just not similar projects. A project this small, if you were to take one lot out, it's 25 to 30% reduction of the project. I feel that that's not an apples to apples evaluation. That's gonna be up to the commission to decide, you know, however you're gonna decide, but I feel it's not an apples to apples evaluation. But we did look at what would happen if we were to say, let's move everything back. There obviously is an alternative where you can shorten the cul-de-sac, where we don't need any relief from the 25, 35 zones. The house is a different story. That, you know, I always kind of keep the house separate, because I think what we're asking for on the house lot is reasonable, because it's over a disturbed area, but we can have that discussion as well. But if we shorten up this cul-de-sac, this is what the site layout would look like. Something very, very close to this. And my point is, even though we have a shortened layout, we still need a 15,000 square foot lot. And that's what this represents. It's like 15,000 and a few feet. So it's really a minimum lot size. What that does, though, is it still pushes the second lot that could be built outside the 25, 35. It still pushes it to the rear of the site. So the footprint of the project is not dramatically different than a 3-lot project. You're still, here's the 1 lot, you're still back here. Granted that 3rd lot is pushed back further, but the footprint of the project does not dramatically change. But the business side of it does dramatically change. It is not the same project as our preferred option. So we don't want to go here. The other alternative that we have to look at is, you know, what would happen if we were to look for a maximum build out. And as I alluded to before, we even started out earlier with this project, as Chuck saw in the early design phase. We actually had another lot in here. We've had a lot of internal discussion. We decided to drop that lot and not bring that forward, but, you know, potentially this was a 5-lot project, and we've already whittled it down to the existing plus 3 additional. But we do have to look at what if those restrictions weren't there, and certainly if this were a 40B type of project, we could come in with something like it, and this is sort of flipped over, this is Lowell Street here. You know, it would be more like a 12-unit project, 12 and possibly 16-unit project, on the same footprint, more or less the same project footprint. So we believe that we have a very reasonable request here. I think we're asking for, I don't recall the numbers off the top of my head, they're in the information that I gave you, on the order of about 1,800 square feet of relief, mostly in your 25 to 35 foot zone, and most of it occurs right here for this BMP1. This is the biggest area that we would need relief. You can give relief in that 25, 35 zone if specific site conditions are such that it's already developed, or, you know, if you were to excavate in there, it may not have an impact on the vegetation that's in the 0 to 25. And to a large degree, there are some bigger trees here. There's a big spruce, there's a big maple right over here, but they're outside the 25-foot zone. We're not going to touch those. There's 4 very large white pine that would fall right in the basin here, but they're outside the 35-foot zone. The rest of the stuff along the margin of the 25 and within that 25 to 35 is all sapling-sized growth of Norway maple, an invasive species. I think in that situation, given that you're looking at invasive species, and we were all, as a benefit, we're looking at removing some invasives from the site, I think it's reasonable for us to ask that you grant relief in this area, which is a large majority of what we're asking for, because it's not going to impact mature vegetation that's in the 25-35, or excuse me, the 0 to 25. The rest of it, the roadway here, some of it's already disturbed, some of it's not. But again, because of the orientation, we have nowhere else to get into the site. We have an orientation that has to come in straight. It has to get between these two homes. We really can't deviate it. The only thing we can do is shorten it up. But again, that's, I'll just repeat myself one more time. It's a different project if we do it. So obviously, we're at a point where we need a decision whether we go forward with this concept. If we do go forward, if the commission were to see that it's, given our mitigation that we've provided or suggested, we may be able to look at this basin. I asked the engineer, Thad Berry, if it were possible to do kind of an infiltration trench along the edge of the pavement, and we actually discussed this with Mr. Zamboris, put openings in the curbing at the various locations so that we have essentially a large treatment swale that's longer or narrower. I don't know if that's going to do the job, but I know this does, and we'd like you to evaluate the project based on what we have here and the mitigation that we provided.
You had a discussion with Pam Merrill at DEP about that basin there.
Yes.
I had talked to her today, and she was still unsure whether this was going to work and you could get your desired treatment out of this. Were you guys able to align what she wants? Will this increase?
Yep.
Can you still work with that area? I mean, is that?
Yes, we can.
So with the variance, you wouldn't have to increase that area, you wouldn't have to get closer to the wetlands, even with the suggestions that Pam said. Even if it turns into a rain garden and you have to do pre-treatment and gain your 44%
Right.
prior to that.
Right. Pam's biggest concern was the infiltration part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it was sort of inside out. And I think there was a setback issue, but if it were a rain garden, then that setback issue goes away.
Yep.
So I believe we left that meeting with the understanding that if that is converted to a rain garden type of BMP, then that solves her issues.
Right, but you still need that pre-treatment in that, and you can find a spot for that in there prior to the rain garden?
If we have to do a structure or perhaps perhaps like I suggested, a narrow swale or something like that, there's always a way to, because the soils are so favorable on the site, they're all A soils, there's a lot of options that we have. So.
Is that all you have, Chuck?
What's that?
Is that all you have?
Yeah, well, I think what's in front of you, they're asking you whether it qualifies for the variance, and I know that the one thing that's not set in stone would be that basin and whether it's gonna change. I just needed to know
Right.
exactly what I asked. Can you work within that size without expanding it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Any more comments from the commission?
Well, we've done a couple site visits on Plymouth Road last week. Made some recordings of wood frogs in the pool. Did you get a chance to get out there and listen or look for egg masses?
Have not evaluated for egg masses. I have heard wood frogs, yep. They seem to be confined really to this end here.
Mhm.
I didn't hear anything really. I didn't want to get too close to make them stop chorusing, so I stayed more or less back here, but they were all
Right.
even further ahead.
Is that what you heard? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they were, I was out on Monday night, and they were chorusing. I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of flags A42, A41, and A40. And the real question I have is, do we have a vernal pool? Simply because there were clearly chorusing wood frogs. If we have a vernal pool, we got a 100-foot buffer. You know, even in the most optimistic, if it's A42, that 100-foot line.
Well, is that wetland at A40, A41 is hydraulically connected with the wetland all the way up to flag A1?
Yes,
I would assume so.
So if it's a vernal pool down there, it's a vernal pool up here.
Right.
yeah.
And I think we have to determine that. I mean, I think I was out, Will asked if somebody else could come out and hear them. I heard them chorusing. So the real question is, are there egg masses? Is it a vernal pool? And if so, what's the extent of the vernal pool? And I think we need to ask that question.
I think that would affect our.
It would certainly affect my vote,
Right.
all of our votes,
Yeah. I
probably.
would think so.
I can just read from this is Wicked Big Puddles book, which is kind of a guide on how to identify vernal pools. And on page 4, third paragraph, it states, if a contained basin has water and supports any of the obligate species, it is a vernal pool. The presence of the obligate species presupposes water for sufficient time to complete development and the absence of fish. If you observe obligate species utilized in the pool, you do not have to observe it dry, nor attempt to prove it is otherwise free of fish. So the wood frog is one of those obligate species.
That's exactly what I read earlier. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah. I prefer to see some eggs, get some pictures of egg masses in that area.
I would too, just because that area, that wetland also happens to be terrestrial habitat for wood frogs as well, so it could be quite possible that they're just waking up and deciding, I'm gonna get my blood flowing again and find a vernal pool. I don't know that.
Well,
I
their
would like to
terrestrial habitat,
evaluate-
excuse me, but the terrestrial habitat is the woods on your property.
Right. Well, I don't know that it,
That's their general habit, that's, that's
my
how-
experience is more of a forested wetland type habitat, maybe something that's found on the other side of Plymouth Road, on the conservation land.
Well, let me be very clear. I went all the way down to the end of Plymouth Road.
Mhm.
When you get down to the end of Plymouth Road, if you face the railroad embankment, you don't hear them except behind you. So they're clearly in the tongue of water that is, as I cited, 41, 42, and they're in a 25 to 27 minute. I didn't hear one wood frog, I heard multiple wood frogs, and I heard multiple wood frogs chorusing in separate locations. In other words, at times they were, if you will, I was standing in the back of Mr. Tierney's property, courtesy of Mr. Tierney, and at times they were to my left toward the embankment, at times they were to my right. I heard wood frogs, I think Will did
Yeah.
too.
Well, I think the important thing too is, and I have as well, I'm not gonna dispute that there's not wood frogs back there, but the other thing to really consider, I would take some issue with your statement that, well, if there was confined basin here, it extends all the way up to flag A1, because up to a flag A1 is not a confined basin. It may be connected hydraulically, but it's not a confined basin. And I think the important thing is to find out where is that confined area within a vegetated wetland. Clearly, this area, obviously from A1 down to, say, behind the house, A18, is, I doubt there's much standing water at all there because it's all a delta of sand. And as you get farther down, the impacts of the sedimentation from the roadway are less evident, but certainly evident because the purple loosestrife has grown, the herbaceous stuff is growing. I don't think there's 6 inches of water here to support what obligate vernal pool
No, I think
species
there
would
is.
need.
I observed standing water that could well be that deep, up to about flag A9 or so. Obviously, I'd certainly submit that the habitat is less suitable in that area because it's so close to the outfall from the street. But I agree with Jamie that when we look at a vernal pool and we identify a breeding population in one part of an area that's, we consider the whole area that's connected hydraulically as part of the vernal pool.
That may be a broad brush approach that's not appropriate though, because obviously up to the street is clearly not vernal pool habitat.
But there are many vernal pools where that, that are delineated at the mean annual high water that are huge, but the wood frogs just confine themselves to a certain place that, where they prefer, but the entire pool is protected.
Well, I mean, when we were out there weekend before last, in that rainstorm, the high water was all the way up to A9, A8, A7. There was standing water almost to Lowell Street.
Right.
Yeah, just another question. Bill, I know that you and a bunch of others tried to follow this downstream. Now, it does make it all the way to that culvert under the railroad?
It appears to. Now that I didn't have a pair of waders on, it is conceivable. I don't think so, but it's conceivable that there is an isolated pond somewhere in the high A's on the property, on the 364 property side. It appears to be connected. Recognize that it's pretty overgrown. There's a variety of things in there. But if you look, when we went to the rear of the last house on Plymouth, a tongue of water, I think I submitted some photographs, appears to narrow so that it looks like if there is a wider area, it narrows behind the end of Plymouth Road. It then flows toward the railroad embankment. Under the railroad embankment, we walked over the railroad tracks without permission from the Amtrak or whoever owns, B&M or whoever owns. And it is connected to the wetlands behind Austin Track.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the hypothesis of an isolated pool in there is the most valid explanation, because I can guarantee you in that channel that ultimately goes under the culvert that there are fish. I know there are fish in there. I've seen birds in there feeding on them.
Okay.
I did see wood frogs in that ditch that goes right along the
Right.
embankment.
Right. I mean, you can have wood frogs, doesn't mean they're breeding there, but
Right.
I mean, I know there are fish in
I
the
didn't
wetlands.
actually hear them chorusing there, but I did in the depression that's connected to the area we're now discussing around
Yeah.
flags A37, 38.
I mean, I for one think we need to look to see if there is either an isolated spot there or, and also to look for egg masses. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we have to find that. And we need to do that, at least I for one am not prepared to vote for a variance unless I know what the true status of that. Is it a vernal pool? Is not a vernal pool? The amount of noise I heard certainly doesn't sound like the high density, we're in the Smokies forest and you hear nothing but clacking, but it wasn't clack 20 minutes of silence. It was.
Right. There's also spring peepers in there that are a facultative
Right.
species.
But I was concerned solely with the wood frog clacks. So I think we need to look for egg masses. And obviously, we need to look for egg masses in the relatively near term.
Yep, it's that time of year, and I suppose we ought to consider ourselves fortunate that we're sitting here talking about this project at this time of year. So, we figured that, you know, this issue was going to come up. We hope that we can make progress on the waiver discussion tonight, but I think your request is reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm available Friday if.
I cannot. I've got my grandson and his wife coming in from active duty. I'm not doing anything on Friday, but I'm sure a couple of you could possibly make it.
Bill, are you available on Friday? Anytime.
I'd like to go, but I cannot make it.
Friday,
I could do it Thursday too. I mean, I just.
It may be a little early. I mean, if they're just starting the chorus now, it may be a little early to look for that. I mean, I might wait until next week.
Next week's better for my schedule if the frogs will cooperate.
Well, the egg masses.
Could we send them a memo, Chuck?
They'll still be there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
may not
that's
be
right,
there
the
yet,
egg man
is what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
The
I.
egg man says it's gonna be there 4 or 5 days at
You did
least.
see egg masses in Bear Meadow.
But Bear
Not sure
Meadow,
what they are.
they were croaking earlier, weren't they? They were about a.
I didn't hear any calling. Well, no.
I
something
thought
else.
I heard, someone said that they were calling in Bear Meadow.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was, at Earth Day.
At Earth Day.
Somebody had said they heard wood frogs, maybe on one of the walks.
Will, can you tell wood frog egg masses from,
David was.
I think, yeah.
He went in the same
With the
area.
help of the field guide, which we have.
Mr. Chairman, since this is an open meeting, if I could just express my thoughts to share them with the rest of the commissioners. My feeling is that a variance for that garage with proper mitigation is a reasonable request. I also think a variance for a stormwater treatment system is a reasonable request. I think that if there is a vernal pool, that the variance for this highway is in vernal pool habitat, and that gives me real concern.
For
So
the
that's
paved roadway.
with the paved roadway. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Okay.
I certainly have become convinced that the net effect of building up the garage for the first house and shortening the driveway probably warrants a variance. I have to think about the BMP. I think I think you can establish some sort of impact, less impactful effect for the BMP, but I'm still concerned about where is the vernal pool and what is the habitat? What's that 100-foot radius? And I think we need to establish that before I'd be prepared to go beyond the first house.
Okay. Any other comments from the commission?
Yeah, I concur with that.
Okay. All right.
So it seems to me, again, I'm out of pocket next week. I got 2
Okay.
active duty service members who demand more attention than even the wood frogs.
So do we at least have a date to go out and check for egg masses?
Not yet. I mean, would you allow me to, you're not the owner, would you allow me to go on the property on my own or with one of the other commission members on Friday? Or would you rather be there?
We would rather have Bill present.
Okay.
Evenings, afternoons are very tough for me. I coach high school softball, and so mornings are really what's available for me.
Could you do it one morning next week? Well,
Yeah?
I could probably make that.
Okay, so we can coordinate though, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and Bill, what does your schedule look like mornings next week?
Right now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday are open.
Let's see. Yeah, I can can do any of those days,
Tuesday, you want to target Tuesday? That would give the frogs an extra day.
Tuesday. What time do you wanna meet there?
9 AM.
9, okay.
And that's April 15th?
Right.
Oh, tax day.
Yeah. Right, you have to send your
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands before you go.
I can only do Fridays in the morning.
You know, that's why I was pushing for Friday. I mean, you
You
said
said
you,
you Friday, Friday's good too.
Well, I thought it would be a good idea to hit it this Friday and then maybe then on Tuesday again. But I know you're not available. I have all day Friday to do this. Even Friday morning I could meet you.
Yeah, I need to be down in Weston on Friday.
all right if Chuck went with me on Friday? Just an initial look? And sometimes, you know, it's always good to get oriented and, again, that's up to the homeowner.
I think the applicant has to be there and see what we see. I
Yeah,
think
no, I
that's
think
critical.
that's right.
I mean, you know, if you and Chuck want to go through Plymouth and look, I think that's great, but I think for an
Yeah, well, we-
official visit, it would have, the applicant has to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Friday would be the best day for me. I'd be just looking at the stuff I need to get done.
You're talking the 18th?
18th, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So we're gonna push it off till Friday the 18th then, instead of Tuesday.
Right.
And then Chuck will be there?
I can go, yeah.
Okay, at 9 AM?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, good.
Friday the 18th, 9 AM. Okay. All right, the commission done? Okay, does the public have any comments or questions?
Mike Hanson, 17 Plymouth Road. I just have a question on the water is actually quite deep all the way up to Lowell Street.
Mm-hmm.
The part that he's talking about where the sand comes out of the drainage is kind of confined to a ditch right there.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really go out into that water. But if you look right now, the water all the way up to Lowell Street is probably 10 inches deep
Mm-hmm.
right now. And it does flow down there past my house, past the next house, and it goes back in behind the Tierney's house there.
Right.
So, and there is a ditch.
And
If you got-
there's noticeable flow, I mean.
Oh yeah, you can see the water
Is
flowing.
it going
through
back
there.
like that?
Yeah, if you put a leaf there, it'll flow down.
See,
Um,
I don't see, if that's flowing like that, at that rate, where is that water going?
Well, it goes down,
But-
if you go to the end of Plymouth Road and follow that little dirt road, there's a ditch on the right-hand side, it follows that down.
Right.
And then there's a ditch that goes underneath that, into that pipe you're talking about.
Right. Right. But what's clear is that if you look at the wetland flags, the wetland flag widens dramatically
Yeah.
toward the end of Plymouth Road. And as I say, where I heard them, and I think
I
Will
bet there's a
heard them,
pool, isolated pool that's
Could
not
well be.
connected to that flowing water.
I don't know. I mean,
That
what-
would be my guess.
What was surprising behind Mr. Tierney's house is there didn't appear to be any flow at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It appears to be almost stagnant, but I have no idea where, if there is a channel, where it is. I don't have, didn't put waders on
You
it.
would
I mean,
expect if you had a restricted channel upstream and a channel downstream, if it opens up and deepens, you would expect it to slow way down.
Right. Right. But it,
I mean, I've seen that water flowing through the culvert on the railroad track at a good place, good
yes,
place.
yes.
Correct.
The day we were out there, we went out during the rainstorm, was moving quite along, and the week earlier when we went out, when we crossed over the railroad track, the flow on the other side of the culvert was pretty
Yeah.
rapid flow.
Yeah.
But as I say, and again, one of the pictures I took from behind the last house on Plymouth, surprisingly, even in the day that we were there with a lot of rain, the flow was
Quiet.
pretty quiet. In fact, it almost looked as if it wasn't flowing.
That's what I
You
saw
went-
that next day. I was
Right,
at
you
that,
went
I saw that.
down further and it began to flow more rapidly. So I think to some degree it depends on what the elevations are if there is an isolated pool, or, you know, it could even be a pool which is just modestly connected, or loosely connected, you know, very shallow, because there are islands of vegetation in that swimming pool.
It's also hard to tell what's happening at the subsurface.
Right, absolutely. And
Yeah,
again,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, I
it-
can't.
I'm sure it's connected to the subsurface, but the fish couldn't get in there to
Right.
that.
Right,
to
that-
that-
I'm saying it below the water surface, still in the water, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily in the water.
And also the basin depression of the vernal pool, this is on page 11 of this book. Is it well, the question they're asking, is it a contained basin depression without a permanently flowing outlet? So it can have a flowing outlet at certain times of the year
Right.
and still be defined as a
Qualify.
vernal pool.
Yeah.
And that was also stated at a vernal pool seminar that I went to at MACC conference, that the vernal pools, even certified ones, can have inlets and outlets as long as there's no breeding population of fish. And that usually is the case, because the inlets or outlets dry up or are
Right.
constricted much of the year.
See if the public has any-
Any other questions or comments from the public?
Just one small one. I know it was deep enough for 3 ducks to swim in it. So they were out there swimming.
You'd be surprised how little water ducks need.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Anna Nolte, I'm on Plymouth Road. I just wanted to thank the commission for the time and attention that you've given this project. I think we've been really impressed, just how much you care. And then I also wanted to reiterate, you know, I know there's been a lot of talk about improvement to the neighborhood. I think, speaking as a neighbor, I've never felt a need really for improvement. On my end, I haven't gotten water in my basement. When it does rain, the water level directly behind me gets really high and stays really high for a long time. So opening up anything and allowing more water to flow is a concern. And it's also a concern, all of those gigantic trees on that property, what happens to the water when they're all gone and things are paved over? You know, I understand that there will be this whole system for catching water, but, you know, when everything's built and if the system doesn't work, we're the ones that deal with that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I just would like to know, I also have tape recordings of the court wood frogs as well as that email that I sent out. I realize the quality of both of them is not great, but they are all on tape.
Any other comments from the public?
Will we continue the hearing pending the information on the vernal pool?
Give it a second. Okay, all those in favor?
Great.
Will the neighbors be notified when that next meeting?
When is your next meeting?
Oh, we didn't say a date, did
We
we?
didn't say a date.
Well, that means it's approved.
Not yet.
Our next meeting would be the
2 and 3.
23, the 23rd. And my assumption, and this is an assumption, is that since the visit is going to occur next Friday, that probably we'll have data. And I would suggest that if we can't come to a conclusion before the next meeting, or the applicant wants to ask for a continuance, you just check the website to see if it's posted, because we do post it.
You mean the meeting minutes, the
Yeah,
meeting agenda?
Meeting agenda, you know, I mean, that, Mike, and this is a guess, I mean, part of the problem is we are dealing with, although they sound like horny frogs, we're dealing with the question of whether there are any horny women frogs around, and whether there will be egg masses by a week from Friday. You know, sort of what little I understand about those natural processes, being a guy, probably there would be egg masses by next week. But, you know, it could snow tomorrow. This is New England. And it was pretty clear that the chorusing in your area was later than the chorusing. Will, you were out I know you were out earlier, about a week ago, and heard chorusing elsewhere. I can't remember where you were. You sent us an email saying.
Oh, yeah, out of the town forest.
Right.
Off Stroud Ave.
Right.
There's a large population there.
Right. And the only reason that happens is areas, as any of you know, there's still snow in my backyard at least, in places. And there are other places where it's completely dry, so been a very long, uneven winter.
How long do the egg masses stay in?
Well, they're there for not a long time, but you get pollywogs pretty quickly.
Oh, you don't see egg masses in
You
pollywogs?
see pollywogs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And they're
egg
distinct.
masses are less than a week probably, but the tadpoles will stay in there for over a week.
Right.
So there's probably close to 2 weeks.
And wood frog pollywogs apparently, although I haven't figured out what they look like, they look different. I am assured by all the websites that they look different.
Yeah.
Okay. And did we mention we have openings on the commission if anybody's interested?
And we'd be glad to share all this work with you. And we appreciate, by the way, all of you on Plymouth Road allowing us access. I mean, that's an important help to us. And again, we understand why the applicant would want their representative there. It makes the most sense to us as well, because obviously you see what we see, and there's no discussion of he saw, she saw, et cetera.
Just one more thing I'd like to read from there's a vernal pool observation form and under parts 3A, which includes the wood frog. If certifying by obligate species, provide a photograph of the pool holding water and at least one photograph or audio tape for chorusing of breeding activity. It doesn't look like a picture of an egg mass is required. And also that was what I was getting at in that previous passage I read.
Yeah, but that would be conclusive proof of breeding activity. Just the
Right.
chorusing might not necessarily mean breeding activity.
Well, that's what they're saying here.
Yeah, they're saying what do it take for chorusing?
So the definition of coercing, overlapping for a certain amount of time.
Right.
So I don't know, I wasn't out there listening.
Well, certainly to the degree that it was not clack, it's my word, I don't know what you call it, but it sounded more like clack than quack. It wasn't clack and then wait 10 minutes and clack. It was clack, 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 clack. You know, so there were choruses. The All Men's Wood Frog Chorus.
Yeah.
This is all a cappella, right?
It was a cappella. There was no accompanying music, except for the peepers, which were giving a little low background
Yeah.
chorusing.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thanks.
See you next Friday at the latest.
What else do we have? I think we got through everything.
4/9, you'll be elected chairman in perpetuity.
I think that, yeah. So, do we have any minor projects?
We don't. No, minor projects have been, I don't know if you guys remember Smith Ave, 9 Smith Ave. Some,
Tree cutting issue?
owner of that property came in. They had been here before. They talked about the neighbor
Yeah.
had issues with the pine needles on that tree. And she wants to trim the tree and she wants to put up some cables. And I think that was, yeah,
It was a double leader?
yeah, the double leader.
Yeah. Oh, I think I remember the one you're talking about, yeah.
So she's gonna file an RDA for that.
She was
Unless
purchasing
I
the
hear-
property, she came in with a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Unless I hear it otherwise, that, you know, the commission probably should look at how much trimming's going on and, you know.
If I remember correctly, she had the arborist that prepared the plan had really had a good breakdown of what
Mhm.
canopy cleaning is and,
Yeah.
I think that's the same project,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Okay, that was my only question, whether that rose to the level of RDA.
Where is it located in
Oh.
relation to the resource area?
5 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah,
You really needed RDA.
You probably already said that, right?
It-
Yeah.
I mean, even just getting the vehicle in there, that might
Yeah.
be something
Yeah.
you wanna condition.
It's more than homeowner maintenance of
Right.
landscaping.
I'm suggesting doing this in the winter time, but that wasn't possible.
Are we finished with Smith Ave? Could you get the copy of, the Austin Pratt order of conditions with my comments to the applicant?
I've spoken to the applicant and sent them my original copy without your added information, but I can do that tomorrow.
If you would, I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Great.
And if the other commissioners would
I
look
didn't
at the
have a
version.
chance to read yours.
Right.
A little late today.
Yeah, I cranked it out, but, so when we talk about it in 2 weeks, just consider whether or not my comment should be included or not is when we take a vote.
Well, I actually read through it. I thought they didn't take away from the order at all.
Yeah, I mean, there is the riverfront starts not on Austin Prep property, but rather after it goes under West
Right.
Street.
Right.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that you guys are gonna be able to add.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. I just giving Jamie a hard time.
Good.
His
I know
last
that
comment.
Chuck didn't, I don't know that Chuck mentioned it, but he did when I spoke to him earlier about getting this order of conditions out. The last few days, he's been completely swamped.
Yeah, no,
So
that,
he's been working overtime, comp time, however they do it.
We don't know how they're gonna do it yet.
So
they haven't figured it out yet.
stay tuned.
But yeah, but I came in on Friday and Gene was there and I said there's no possible way other than to stay and get this stuff done and
And
it worked out. I mean, I was able to get something out for people to review.
Right.
But again, and even I forgot that maybe a good strategy would be to close the hearing or approve the project, but don't close the hearing, but don't approve at the next meeting. Because we could have been at this point right here, and we got the 2 weeks, but
Right.
not.
My concern is Phillips wants to, not Phillips, Austin Prep wants to build this thing this summer and be finished by next fall.
Yeah.
They're gonna have one hell of a time getting that done. I think a 2-week delay for them is serious.
Well,
Yeah, but
Well-
then we just have to work out with the town. I mean, I don't mind putting in extra hours, but it's not
And
like
That's
the only.
what we need to do. I
it's
think
not my
we
only-
need to tell the town we're
It's
holding
like
up
26
somebody's
I
development
have
project.
26 hours, but if you combine Boxford and here, it's 44 hours, and I had a side job I did over the weekend, so there was I was just done.
You were here
Well,
till-
There's
and-
no
and
other
here- and
time
here's
in
the
my
I
thing.
saw
life.
you leaving last night at 8:30.
we're talking about it, and Chuck's talking about statutorily required timelines.
Right.
And that's where we run into, if he doesn't do it,
Right, no, I agree, and I think,
It's approved.
I think the issue is, I'm glad Gene was collaborative about it.
Yes.
But it's not, we the commission want this, it's, you're up against, we're all up against the legal barrier here.
Right.
and as
Well,
long as,
later, and service to our
Absolutely.
customers.
but that's what I was gonna bring up, we're preaching to the choir here, but if he has statutory timelines he has to adhere to, when someone comes to the counter, he can't go to the counter. I mean, that's the thing that has to suffer, is community service, and they don't want
Right.
community service to suffer, and I
Right.
think that
Right.
Chuck's really good with the community.
And I think I proved that today.
Oh.
We had a few people,
Some irate customers?
just not understanding the process.
Right. Good.
Good.
But yeah, it is busy. I mean, it really has gotten quite busy in the last 4 weeks.
Right, and there
Yeah,
are also
home
major
starts are
projects.
15%.
Are they?
What's up, 15%?
In the region, not in Reading, but in the region.
Home
Home
starts.
starts?
Yeah, up 15%. I think the other thing that's clear is, a couple of these are really big, serious projects. And we certainly don't want, we're in this position in which you want Austin Prep, which has been very collaborative and willing to do the right thing, to just move ahead with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if needs be, I suppose we could, come in for post a special meeting and all sign it. We could do that.
We've done it before.
We've done it before, Chuck.
I know, we got lucky this time. I was kind of like, weighing the odds. Would it was likely to appeal an approved project, and I didn't think it was, based on a few days of, you know, if we needed some more time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't trying to have
Right,
that happen,
right.
but.
Okay.
Okay.
Will we adjourn?
I just want
Oh,
to,
sorry.
one more thing, I just want to draw your attention to Walker's Brook Drive and 128, and we have a new billboard up there, thanks to Clear Channel. And, yes,
I didn't see
and
it.
that's why I called Pam Merrill this
Where?
afternoon. It's
Is
on
it right near
128.
Honda,
It's right near,
It's
it's right.
not
they-
in Reading.
I know it is, no, it's not, you're
Not
absolutely
in
right.
Wakefield?
Reading. It's against the law to have one in Reading.
So it's
So
in,
that's that.
it's in Wakefield, but what ended up happening when I contacted Wakefield is they said that Clear Channel called them to inquire about the site. I guess there was only footings there from a sign taken down long ago, and nothing else happened, and the next thing you know, we have this structure that you could launch a missile off of.
where is it, on the Wakefield side of 128, on the Honda side, or the other
It's on the
side?
Honda side, you would access the property through Honda.
Right, it's that
it's
part of
on
the
the
Honda.
Honda side.
Yeah, but it's the part of the Honda property
in
that's in
It's in
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all-
Remember, if
it's
you go
all-
to the end of that road.
Right.
Everything beyond our swales is essentially in Wakefield.
Wakefield.
So Wakefield was kind of surprised, to say the least, and I just wanted to make sure DEP knew what was going on, because there was a lot, I mean, the site has to be, within 20 feet. And it might just be a 30-foot patch on either side that, till you get into the wetland. So it's like an island or a peninsula
Right,
or
it is a
something out there.
peninsula.
I thought I saw a lot of fragments.
Absolutely is a peninsula, because when we were approving the Honda site, you could drive out to the end of the Honda
We've done it.
access road. We've
Yeah,
done it.
yeah.
Where they stored cars.
Yeah.
And there's this little tiny finger, it's a path. I don't know how the hell they put it off. but-
So the engineering department, when they questioned them, 'cause we sent the engineers down there, because I wasn't here during the morning when it was discovered, they said, we installed this on the old footings. It's like, yeah, right. I mean, give me a break. So I thought that was really funny, and he took pictures, and there was piles of cement everywhere, and a new cap on maybe the old footing. I'm not sure. No one would ever do that. Who would use an old footing for such
You don't know
an
where
expensive
what
structure?
happened, know where it goes, so, especially with the increased standards that we have today. Okay,
More fun.
You made it, 9 o'clock.
that's right.
Chairman
All
for
right.
life.
Wow.
That's it.
In perpetuity.